I like to roll into an intro.
Consequences.
Consequence. You should have listened to what your mother told you. Now we here right now. All right, this is the official start. We are here one-on-one with David, and I am extremely excited to be with my guest today. This is my sister, my woe, Makisha Noel.
Well, you didn't read any of my bio, and that's upsetting me and my homegirls.
No. We're gonna give its proper due.
I did the work
the bio
to put together my bio.
Right. That's we gonna read the bio. Let's jump through it. So, Makisha Noel, a Haitian American media personality and creator, has shaped global marketing strategies for brands like Nike, Samsung Global, MasterCard, and Unilever. She founded Creative Culture Tribe in Miami, which aims to teach the business of creativity while building community among hundreds of Black women creators and entrepreneurs.
Period.
An Ad Color Future awardee and Legacy Miami 40 Under 40 recipient, Makisha's impactful storytelling and strategic insights connect cultures and industries worldwide. Y'all give it up for Makisha Noel, y'all boys. What it do? How you feeling?
I'm feeling like I need some rest.
Because you've been on the go. You've been everywhere.
I have been, and I've been telling myself I can do it. I'm still in my early 30s, but the opposite is true.
The opposite is true. Well, that's interesting because like you are always on the go. You're always rubbing elbows, going to different events in Miami. How do you balance such a busy schedule with self-care and taking care of yourself?
You jumped right into it.
Yeah, we in there.
I mean, TBH, self-care is something that I'm still working on. I actually used to call Mondays Maki Mondays. And so on Mondays, I would do the things that I need to handle personally. So like, for example, I mean, this wasn't a Monday, but for example, I finally went to see an orthopedic doctor because my left ankle has been giving me that work for years.
That's like grown-up responsibility.
Right. I remember when I had to start planning my own doctor's appointments and I was like, dang, this is ghetto. Like, why I gotta do this? And so I realized I'm always doing so many things like you described with Creative Culture Tribe. I realized Miami Tennis Club is not even in my bio. That's what I'm not trying to pack
there's
too
probably
much
like
in it.
so many things that you didn't put in the bio that you are doing.
Yeah, and I'm like, look, let me give people some rest. But yeah, so like Maki Mondays is where I try to schedule those important appointments, like my teeth cleaning twice a year and getting my eye exam so I can like see.
So you can see.
So yeah, I definitely need to do better, but yeah, I also need to like find a therapist. Yeah. Which I'm gonna spend some time doing over the next couple of days. But
shout out to therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you in therapy?
I'm not, but I need to be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need that right now.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm gonna need that right now. But with everything that you're doing, everything that you got going on, whether it's Creative Culture Tribe or Miami Tennis Club, or your client work, marketing, branding, public speaking engagements, all these different things, what would you say is the thread among all those things? Like, why do you do it for? Like, what do you love? What is your purpose? I know that's a lot of questions, but
5 questions in one.
I know.
A bundle. At the heart of everything I do is community. And so I recognize that I'm someone that is interdependent, and that in order for me to not just feel fulfilled, but in order for me to do the work that I know aligns with my purpose, which I believe my purpose in life is to essentially point people back to God. And it looks different. It's not necessarily like, hey, let's go to church and be a part of Bible study. It's not necessarily that, but it's like recognizing the creator within you. And so that's why my work with Creative Culture Tribe focuses on creators and entrepreneurs, because it's literally bringing an idea that is birthed from your heart and pushing it out into the world. And that's a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? I think people discount what it means to be a creator. you literally can make something out of nothing.
Wow.
A beautiful thing, you know? So that's what I believe my purpose is. And at the heart of it is community. I think in order for us to do things well and to do things at scale, and that are impactful, you got to deal with a village. So
because I'm hearing the threads and the themes between community and being a creator, and do you feel like for most people they don't understand the power that they have in creation, and being part of a community helps them to kind of fan the flames of their creative ability?
Exactly. Yeah, answer is yes. Because I believe iron sharpens iron, and that when we spend time with each other, I think we're able to pick up on the good that are in each other and feel inspired to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like I think I've gotten this far because, like, not only because I'm ambitious and there are things I want to do in this world, but I've also spent time around people who have been like, wow, wait, that's actually possible. Like, So I don't know if you can like recall, when was the last time you saw someone do something and you're like, wait a minute, like that's actually possible. Like I could do that too.
Yeah.
And then you actually do it. You know what I mean? And like, I'll give an example for me, like having a conference and organizing a conference. The very first conference I went to was the very first creative conference I went to was the Build Your Own Brand retreat in 2018. I think 2018. And I remember attending there and I'm just like wide-eyed like a kid in Disney World, like, oh my gosh, look at all these creatives. People are exchanging Instagrams, like people are like, you know, like podcast recording here. And I was like, wait, this is like actually possible to bring creators under one roof, you know? So actually, I don't know if BYOB was my first creative conference. Actually, I think the DC, because I used to live in DC, as people might know. And they had like this mini like summit and it was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Okay. I really resonate with what you just said, and it's like this concept of you can't be what you can't see. So just what you're saying about, especially for a lot of young people, maybe they don't have the best role models to look up to, and so maybe they're not seeing like what is their possibility, like what are they capable of. There's an example of, I think his name was Roger Bannister. For a long time, people didn't think that man could run faster than whatever was the fastest mile. I don't remember how many minutes like it was, but like once he broke it, everyone was able to beat that fastest time because they saw that someone else was able to do it. So it might have been like, I don't know the exact details, like 30, 40, 50 years until Roger Bannister broke it. And then after people saw that he did it, like within a year or 2 years, a bunch of people were breaking it. So just like what you're saying about for people who want to be, whether it's like podcasters or YouTubers or bloggers or whatever, a lot of times they see that as just a side hustle or a hobby. But to see someone who's doing it on a high level and who's being successful from it, and then to be around a community of all those people, it's kind of like you being an X-Men and you having a superpower. And when you're by yourself in society, people call you weird and you're a disruption. But when you go to the, what do they call it, the X-Men house or whatever, and you're surrounded by a bunch of different people who are weird just like you, then that's when you're able to hone your ability.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, just like you said.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like community is just, it's so important. And I also believe in the you can't be what you can't see thing, but also like there are often people who have become the thing that they couldn't see either. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's worth noting, that sometimes we don't have to see it around us. We just have to believe it enough to just do it. And so I think that's perfectly possible. And also in the same lines of community and being around people who like sort of emulate where you are and what you want to do. A few weeks ago, Issa Rae, I feel like I talk about Issa Rae on every single podcast.
You love Issa Rae.
I talk about her on every single episode. So she recently put out an IG stories that was essentially like a short film showing the journey, a short journey of a man and a woman falling in love essentially, and she was a woman, and Kofi Sarobi, is that his last name, was the man. And so the short film essentially showed like them kind of meeting over a glass of prosecco, of Via Ray. Well, Via Wines, whatever.
Is that her wine that she owns?
Her prosecco.
Oh, prosecco.
Yeah, and so it was literally a short film, and I was just like, and then next thing, like the next week, she's doing a commercial for Sienna Naturals, of which she's a co-founder, and I'm just like, wait a minute, Issa's doing so much.
She's doing a lot, yeah.
Like genuinely doing so much, an exact definition of a multi-hyphenate. And so like seeing her do that gave me so much confidence, and it just reminded me that like you could do it too. And I mean, I'm already doing it, but I've had people that have said to me like, damn, like you doing too much, you doing so much and this and that. And I get it, especially when you're just one person and you're a part of, you're like not the beginning, but like you're growing an organization. You're oftentimes going to hold a lot of the roles in that organization in order for things to make movement. Right. But I believe as you grow, obviously you build a team with you, and that's how you're able to do the things that you want to do. But I just have to say, like, Issa Rae, she really like showed me, all right, girl, you're not doing too much. You doing what you need to do. So
right. So speaking of being able to be what you can't see, what would you say is your superpower? Like, what is it that you are 100% confident that you are good at? Like the abilities that you know that you are in your bag. Bless you.
I would say the thing that I recognize that I'm good at, and also other people recognize that I'm good at, is speaking. And it's motivating crowds and getting crowds to move. Period. Like I've had multiple people. That's why I said it might be hard to see right now because I'm sitting here sniffling and, you know, I don't even look like how I normally look like on the stage right now. Like I literally went to a networking event yesterday, and this is how I looked. Like I had this hat and this perruque on.
Not a perruque.
I forgot what her name is. I didn't even name this wig.
That's crazy.
Like this is how I looked at the networking event. And I realized that some people didn't even recognize me. And I'm just like, like the cat. The cat on the chair. It's me. It's me. So it might be a little bit hard to see right now. You have to walk in and
reintroduce yourself.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely, it's like, it's moving people to action and moving people, to believe in themselves and see more in themselves. Like I've had people that have literally come up to me and been like, yo, like how you just emceed this event, it was spiritual, like on a deep level, like you are in your bag. Yeah. And so if I could get paid every single day, wake up in the morning, host an event, like that would just bring me so much joy. Like, it's not a thing of like, oh, I love being seen, I love attention, you know, I want all the lights on me. I genuinely become alive when I get on the stage. You know, just how you probably become alive, like when you're doing strategy, or like, you know, you probably even come alive right now, just how Josh comes alive when he directs. Yep. Like it's deeply... Well, it's divine.
I do want to. Wow, you said spiritual, divine. I really love that wording, and I do want to take the time to dive into where that comes from, but I also want to contrast it to the way that me, you, and Jeff operate. Like it's really interesting how we all have this common thread of just really enjoy communicating with other people and uplifting and inspiring people, but the way that you and Jeff approach it is from the stage, like it's one to many. It seems like you guys really enjoy being up there and moving the crowd, as you said, whereas for some reason, like I prefer the one-on-one format. Like I prefer like having conversations, having them meaningful, having them deep, having them profound. And so it's really interesting, you know, going back to like where this all comes from about wanting to communicate, and maybe it comes from our father, from Ramses Noel, who was a preacher. Every single Sunday we saw him on the stage moving the audience just with pure passion and emotion and dedication to his love of God. And maybe that's one of the reasons why like we are the way that we are, is because we are what we saw, in a sense. Going back to be what you can see,
Yeah, I definitely think that that definitely has a role to play, because I think I recognize this desire in myself at a young age, at a very young age. Like I remember, I was just like playing in one part of the house, like on the TV. A modeling commercial came up, and the commercial was like, "Do you want to be a model or an actor?" Da, 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 da. And I was like, and I saw like the women strutting their stuff and like doing the thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's me!"
Yeah.
And I remember begging our mummy if she can send us to modeling school. And I was probably in middle school at that time, but also even I think like middle school. Yeah, probably late middle school, because even before then, like my first time going on a plane and going to DC and being a part of the junior NYLC conference, that gave me exposure to seeing young leaders and like seeing inspired people. And so it allowed me an opportunity to get out of the bubble that I was in Miami. And that was the first time at like 13 years old that I had so much exposure to white folks. Because the only black person that I really saw on that trip was one of our facilitators, and she was a black woman.
Okay.
But mostly everyone there was white, and I just remember feeling like, wow, this is odd. Like, this is new. And so the experience really pushed me out of my shell and taught me how to talk to people who don't look like me, how to build relationships across cultures. And I think that's what kind of fuels who I am today. Like I could get on the stage and really talk to anyone. Like I remember when I was invited to speak by Georgetown University and a Middle Eastern Partnership Initiative and the U.S. Department of State to speak to Middle Eastern North African students in Istanbul. And so I stood on a stage and did a speech with 300 plus people in the room. And I was probably one of the only black people, black American, because most of the students were Middle Eastern, and North Africa. So they were all technically weren't black, but so yeah, I think there are many factors in my life that brought me to that place of, all right, like this is what I need to be doing.
Yeah. Making a pivot, because we talked about what you love, we talked about what you're good at, we talked about what you can get paid for. What is it that you feel?
Oh, we didn't talk about what I get paid for.
Speaking, isn't that what you said? Like if you could get.
Well, technically, I feel like I said that off air, but on air, yes, I get paid to speak, and I also get paid to do strategy because I'm a global marketing strategist.
Got it. Okay, so I want to do a pivot into combining strategy with culture with what you believe the world needs. So as you look at the world, as you keep your hand on the pulse of culture, and just paying attention at what the trends are on social media. Big edit, y'all boys. But I actually might keep this in just for the authenticity. But just from looking at what's going on in the world and just paying attention to trends and social media, what would you say is the state of the world right now, and what does the world need?
The world is big. The world is big. I think what the world needs, the world has, but oftentimes we don't see it enough. I think the media mainly pushing the more horrible things, so it's like, it's easy to believe that there's just terror everywhere all the time. And like, that's not the actual case. Like there's also a whole lot of love in this world among families, friends, among communities. And so those type of stories we don't see enough. So I think what the world needs, the world has in abundance. It just needs to be showcased more, and I think for anyone that's listening to this episode, like, I'll also say what the world needs is like people who also take care of themselves, because especially with living in such an individualistic society in America, and capitalism being the thing that rules us every single day, rules the things that we do, the way we operate as people and as companies, because at the end of the day it's about the bottom line. Like, is the company making revenue? Are people performing up to standards so that we making money? You know what I mean? And so things often just become super money driven, which money is important, but I think oftentimes we lose that in this quest to become successful and to, be this recognized brand. Like, are we actually caring for ourselves in the process?
Yeah.
So I will say that's what the world needs. I need more people. It needs more people to care for themselves so that they can continue to care for each other. And we don't have much to give. At the end of the day, we won't have much to give to other people if we're not giving enough to ourselves.
You have to fill up your cup first.
Yeah, but it sounds weird. It sounds selfish when people say fill your cup up first. But like, what does that actually mean in practice to fill your cup up first? You know what I mean? And that's what I want people to recognize for themselves. Like, that means like if you're gonna help your mama out in the morning, make sure you eat your breakfast first, so that you have the energy to to be supportive to her. Like, make sure you spend time in meditation. Make sure you stretch, go to a yoga class. Like, it all sounds so simple and basic, but the reality is that as we get older, we're gonna realize, like, wow, these are the things I should have been doing when I was younger.
Yeah. I mean, so talking through like trends and stuff, like you hear about the soft girl era, or there's this concept about being boy sober. Have you heard of that?
No. Boy sober?
Boy sober.
Wait, I can guess what that means. Being boy sober probably means like, don't be effing with niggas and give it a break. Give it a break. Whether it's just effing with niggas or like not dating for a while. That's probably what that means.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much. It's like it's prioritizing your own self and like not going on dates and not entertaining these guys out here. Just being more in tune and in touch with yourself. Like everything that you said, of meditation, of being comfortable in solitude. It's all the same thing. Soft girl era, filling your own cup, putting you first, focusing on number one, like all these different things. Those are all, I think it's all really important, and I agree with it. And that's kind of like how I move as well. I agree that if you aren't focused on your mental health, your physical health, then you won't be of value to the people around you.
Yeah. And I think like growing up, like we've seen so many, it's been normalized to give to other people at the detriment of your own self. And so we don't see enough examples of people who are still able to give to others, but also because they gave to themselves. Yeah. That we're used to seeing the women in our lives being depleted at the end of the day, and then eventually building resentment for, or maybe it's not resentment. Maybe they're literally like, this is what my life is dedicated to. I have to give, even if they're depleted at the end of the day. And like, that's not my model. Like, I'm not subscribing to that.
I'm not gonna subscribe.
I'm not gonna subscribe to that. I'm going to give to my, and it's still a practice for me, especially as someone who, like, my work is in community and culture. I'm constantly thinking about, how do I get people to connect with each other? How do I help business owners get to the next level? How do I help people to pivot to a new industry or whatnot? So while, if you go on my Instagram, like it seems cute, like, oh, she's doing these dope events, like she's doing these things, she having a good time. At the core of what I do is helping people to connect with each other. And so I'm up late at night, like, what activity should I implement? Like, what AI tool can I use to bring into my next event? So I'm constantly thinking about other people in the work that I do. Yeah. And so I realized that, I oftentimes have to say, okay, what do I need? Like, how do I make sure I care for myself so that this can actually be sustainable? So it's like that's how I feel about it. Like,
yeah. So let me ask you, because you said that one of your goals is to connect people, and we are talking about taking care of ourselves. I'm curious about the state of affairs for relationships in general. Obviously, I'm not.
That's going quickly.
It has, right?
Romantic relationships?
Yes.
So, that's crazy. I'm boy sober right now. Why you asking me this?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like,
well, no, I'm not boy sober. If you like me, just say that. Like, tell me.
Just say that then.
If you watching this episode and you like me,
just say that then.
DM me.
But I'm very curious because like back, I say back in my day, like I'm an elder.
Not.
But back in my day, like we met in college, me and Sakina, and like it felt very organic. Like you ran into each other a bunch of times. We all had the same friend groups. So that was a different time than now, it seems, where it's like when you meet someone, it's in isolation. Like both people have the mindset of taking care of themselves, and when you have to come together and actually think about somebody else and take care of somebody else, then that's when maybe some conflict happens. And then also because you might not have the same friend groups, then you only see a sliver of the person versus like how they interact with their mom or how they interact with their siblings or how they interact with their best friend. So I'm curious, you being someone who is is a free agent right now.
Yeah, I'm single. That's not. Well, maybe people don't know that. I don't know. I'm not one of those girls that's like hiding it.
They
like,
might think you in demand.
Yeah. What's your question?
So what is your perception? Just speaking from the perspective of like women friends who are trying to look for Mr. Right or their Boaz. Like, what are the major concerns and what are the major issues that are happening, and how can people overcome them?
So let me just say, he did not tell me that we was gonna be talking about relationships. He used to prepare my mind because I want to know.
You don't have to talk about yours specifically, but just in general.
You trying to do market research for your next strategy project?
Yeah.
What was your question again? What I think is a state of relationships?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you from the research perspective. I'm just curious, like anecdotally.
Wow, I haven't thought about that in a minute. The state of relationships are that I think people are becoming very content with themselves, because I think this generation is like getting married at an older age, and so we're realizing that, you know, this whole fairy tale life of like, oh, I wanted this, I wanted to be married at 25, or like I have to have the wedding and then I have to have the house and I have to have the thing. Like that's not the reality anymore. Like people, like we're all not trying to hold ourselves to this fairy tale dream anymore, and realizing that we can really create our own path, you know? And so I think partnership is gonna look different. People are gonna be getting partnered and coupled at older ages, and they're very content with that.
Yeah.
You know, the state of dating, I think dating is still very ghetto, but
You said there's piss in the pool.
yeah, but I also do think it's fun too, and fun in that, like, you know, like even for myself, I'll say this, 'cause I actually don't really talk about relationships on like platforms, but I'm okay with saying that I've become a lot more okay with being authentic whenever I date. Like I'm okay with I actually said this to a friend the other day. I've actually cried on dates.
That's crazy. Wow.
Like I've cried on dates. I've taken naps on dates. Like
You just be doing what you want on dates.
Yes. I'm so serious, and it's because like I decided I'm going to be my most authentic self.
But was it
If
like
you don't
happy
like
tears?
it, no, it wasn't happy tears. No. So like this one guy, as a part of our date, we went to the bay, and we sat at the bay, like overlooking the water, and we're just like talking.
And the bay is like a waterfront park area near
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very peaceful and serene.
Yes, and so it was just really, like, it was just really peaceful, really, like, it just felt like a vulnerable moment. So we're just talking about life and whatnot, and then that's when I just remembered my father, and then it just made me really sad. So I just started crying,
Crazy.
and he really consoled me in a moment.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's one thing I've noticed. Like
He pulled some emotional empathy out of his book bag.
yeah, like, you know, and that's something that I realized, that if I'm going to be partnered, for me, with the right person, like, you know, vulnerability and being able to hold space for each other is really important to me. And so like the fact that he was able to do that without me, like I didn't ask him for anything. Like I was just like, F it, I feel the waterworks, I'm about to cry. And I just was crying. and he really held space for me in that moment. And so like that's a thing where I'm like, when it comes to dating for me now, it's not gonna be this
Stonewall stoic.
like it's not gonna be that. This is who I am, and this is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's really good perspective, and I'm gonna be doing an interview with my boy Joshua Jean Baptiste, where we will be diving into modern masculinity, and so he's in the audience. So that's definitely a
Does
big
he
topic.
know that?
I hope so. I hope so. But yeah, I mean, it's this idea of, when people show up as masculine, everyone is like, oh, it's toxic masculinity. But then, like, what is the opposite of that? What does that look like? And young men are being discouraged to step into their masculinity when I think the world needs that. So, all right. So we talked about a lot of different things. I want to close it out with something fun. So one of the things that you left out in your bio was MTC, Miami Tennis Club.
Yeah.
So I actually want to talk about like just the importance, like the growing importance of tennis in our lives, and just like the impact of tennis in our lives, like combining a bunch of different things, like combining community, combining staying active and fit, combining being joyful and happy. Like the park that we went to, what was the Legion Park, where it was just like a bunch of happy, joyful Black people, and then
and they're like, nah,
they too happy.
Way too happy. These niggas way too happy, because if we were out there gangbanging, they would have been like, all right, niggas being niggas.
All right, they perpetuate
they good, they
niggas
good.
Niggas, but nah, they too happy.
But
Is he laughing?
They saw 32 teeth on everybody's face. And they said, oh, hell no.
So let's talk about tennis. So we just came back from the Miami Open, which was lit.
Yes,
we got to see Naomi Osaka. We got to dance. We got to vibe. We got to swag surf at the place. Talk to me about just your vision for Miami Tennis Club, and just like what kind of impact has it had on you and the community?
Man, it's so interesting. So what Miami Tennis Club was started in 2020. Years ago, when myself and my siblings, in Miami, we were just like we just want to get outside. And at first it started off playing pickleball, and it was like, oh, pickleball feels whack. Mm-hmm. And that's when we like picked up the tennis rackets and just like started playing. And so it really was like friends and family for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And we were just finessing, finding courts. We still had the WhatsApp group in 2020, but in 2022 is when it really blew up. Shout out to Komara, founder of Let's Break Bread Global. She joined the group and was a very significant part of growing the community. She's just an amazing community builder. And so she's also someone else passionate about tennis. So it's really this mix of people who are passionate about tennis, passionate about fitness, passionate about community, and able to find all of those things in one space. Mm-hmm. And so Miami Tennis Club is largely like, come out, let's play, let's learn from each other, because we're a peer-to-peer. We have a peer-to-peer learning-based model. And so you can learn how to play tennis from someone who's like not even a coach. And it sounds weird because it's like, wait, do I need to spend all this money on a coach so that I can actually feel confident being on the court? And the answer is no. Me, as a founder of Miami Tennis Club, I have never taken I've never taken a professional tennis lesson before. Wow. But I could whip some ass on the court, like, you know what I mean? And so you don't need to take a formal class to learn how to hit the ball, to learn how to, play tennis. And so the vision is to continue to grow it, to continue to grow the community, but also to implement more wellness as a part of our activities. Mm-hmm. So we play tennis every Sunday at 12 p.m. Arcola Lakes Park. And so, as you know, the summer is going to be hot. And so folks are not going to be on the court for a long time. Yeah. And so we're planning on ways to continue to engage the community even during the summer months. So have some things in the works, really dope stuff that y'all hear about. And then there's also Miami Open. And so just different ways to continue to engage us. And also one thing someone was saying, because like you said, we came from Miami Open on Sunday. So we actually had a day party at Miami Open. Mm-hmm. And so there's someone who worked with Miami Open for years. And she was just like, where did all these Black people come from? I was just so shook that it was just niggas on top of niggas.
Niggas on niggas.
It was just, it was just, it's a shocking thing because tennis is historically a white male, wealthy sport.
Yeah.
And so we're just creating access for those who are interested in it and interested in community.
Okay. We're going to wrap up in 2 minutes, but just to highlight and accentuate some of the points that you said, I think that's one of the big hurdles for people learning tennis is like, oh, I'm just a beginner and there's other people who are really good and hit the ball consistently. I'm going to feel intimidated. But I think the really great thing about MTC is come all, whatever your skill level is, like you will have a good time. Like even if you've never picked up a racket before, you'll come and you'll, that iron sharpens iron mentality where it's like, as you play with people who are better than you, you kind of up level and upskill yourself. And so I just feel like there's so many benefits and positives to tennis and what we're doing with Miami Tennis Club of bringing community together, bringing a bunch of black people into and enjoying a sport that has normally been dominated by the blondes. So
White folks. Dwight.
So not fair yon bomba guy la we. Like we're doing some good things. You don't know I can speak Creole? You should?
So, how am I shook?
Oh,
I mean, my Creole's better than yours, but okay. Right, go off sis.
Anu fini podcast na Creole.
Go off sis.
Go off sis. Go off sis. All right, well, I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about, but I'll just leave it at this and then hopefully we can do a part 2 another time. But Makisha Noel, I appreciate you for coming on to One-on-One with David. And until next time.
Until next time, thank you for having me.
Peace.